haven't done a video. I've been posting a lot about Kata lately, and I wanted to explain a few things. It's come up a lot in some of the Facebook groups I'm in. One particularly up in Illinois. Great guy, love him. A lot of good information. Nothing wrong with what he says. Have a lot of respect. So to get what I'm trying to say in my post about Kata, that you have to study it and break it down. There's a good reason for that. You see, Kata is more than just moves that you have to mimic and regurgitate to earn a belt. They teach principles, they teach foundational things of the art that you're learning. Whether it's from me or anyone else, that's what Kata should be teaching you. It is the groundwork from which you build your I guess you can say your fighting ability. It doesn't teach you to fight, it teaches you strategies and techniques to use in situations. Now, that being stated, I will tell you honestly, I have worked with a lot of instructors, some very good, some not so good. For the longest time, I was taught that this technique here was to block a kick. Now, obviously you can't see my legs, but I will say that this does not block a kick. That block comes to the center of your body. And if there's a kick coming to the center of your body, you knock it off, it's going to hit your leg. It defeats the purpose of blocking the kick. You just don't get kicked in the spot they were aiming for. It took one instructor to tell me that didn't block a kick. And then he showed me why. And that was the exact reason why. He goes, kick, and he blocked, and my kick hit his leg. He goes, that's why it doesn't block a kick. And then he showed me, he goes, now punch. So I punched at him, he blocked my punch, and he moved it down. What that actually did was it took a punch that was going in this direction, pushed it over, and then down, which left my face exposed. That is the purpose of that particular block. Now, honestly, not every block in Kata is a block. What you might see as a block is not a block, it's a strike, or it's a throw. A good example of this would be the one I just showed you. In the first kata, you move here, you look this direction, and then you move your arm around and come here. That isn't necessarily a block as much as it could be someone grabs your shoulder and you reach around and knock their arm off. And now you have their hand down here to step in and throw your punch. Also, that's not the case on every one of them. There are times, the ones that I've used was in the Heian Nidan, what I call the Pinan Nidan, the same thing. The first move in the kata, you bring your feet together and you stack your fists, step out, and you're here. Well, they call this a framing block. It's not a block per se, in the sense that someone is attacking, you are knocking their hand up and punching either in here into the ribs or just under the armpit, or you're hitting them in the chin and knocking their head up, because the next move you do goes for their throat. Another example I use would be a kata called MP. The first move in MP, I'm going to try to do this where you can see it. You start here and you step back and drop into this position. Okay, so that you look like you're blocking something very low. The actual purpose of this first move is showing you that you have grabbed a hold of somebody, you have somebody, and the first thing you're going to do in this position is you're going to shift, throw down, and drop your knee into them. That's the first move of that kata. Another good example would be from Pasai. Now I use the example of the first move being a wrist block. Well, not wrist block, but a wrist lock and a wrist break. Someone grabs your wrist, you secure their hand, you step forward and in on them to break the wrist. That's what that first move is. I've heard some ridiculous things. We were not going to go into that, but that's what that first move is. The second move in the kata, however, you turn. And as you turn, once again, you are defending against, this is a block, but this next move isn't. It looks like it is 2 blocks, 1, 2, but it is block, strike. And as you turn back around, block, strike, boom here. As you turn back around, you block, hook, and pull down. Those aren't blocks. Not all of them are blocks. So every time they tell you you block this, or they call it a block, it's not a block. It is in actuality a technique they just deemed block. Another good example of this would be what they call the augmented block, and the Maroto Uke, the augmented block. The first part of that whole technique is you pull down here and you step in. Okay, you knock their fist down and come in. It is a block in a sense that you are deflecting against something, but that's only half of the technique. You push down and then you run into them. That is the key point of that technique, is that you deflected and now you're going to run your opponent through with your own fist. Just remember, everything that you hear called a block or a technique referred to as a block is not always necessarily a block. There's a kakiwaki, the wedge block. That move is here, and then you usually do a kick with that one. It's not necessarily a block. You're not blocking two things. It's more like you're separating and you're grabbing at the same time. So you could be grabbing arms, you could be grabbing forearms, you could be grabbing shoulders, and then doing the next technique. It is technically a grab, but it is referred to as a wedge block. So keep that in mind. That's all I really wanted to go over, was a little bit of kata, a little bit of understanding parts of the kata, some of my favorite moves in katas. And I've been doing a lot of thinking about those things, trying to understand what I'm doing in the kata, and that's very important. Because if you don't understand what you do in kata, you can't bring that over into your fighting. If you can't bring it over to your sparring, your one steps or anything of that nature, then you can't take it into the true application of it in the real world. So you have to learn the true application of these things before you can convert it to how you would use it in a real world situation, which isn't going to be as pretty as it is in the kata. So keep that in mind. I'm going to try to work on a lot more videos, trying to explain some of the katas we do, some of the techniques we do. I have gloves on today because yesterday I got a little carried away on things, and I punched something I probably shouldn't have, and I've injured and swollen my knuckle up. So I have gloves on just because I don't want to accidentally hit something else and hurt myself. So there you have it. I hope this was very informational for you, that you learned something. As with all my videos, that's what I really hope for, is that you learn something. And stay safe out there. Keep your head on swivel. My friend Jim Wagner says, be a hard target.